Good morning. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power in truth, and we believe that power talks. Good morning, Melody. Did you have a good weekend?
I worked. So I guess to some degree it's a good weekend because there is work to be done. So I'm blessed with that. So other than that, it was it was the first summer weekend. I don't live in Ocean City. My family does. I don't. And it was they have something every year called the Spring Fest, which my cousin is very involved in and so forth. And usually I go, but I didn't because I was working. But going into town yesterday to visit my aunt, it was traffic was galore. And
oh, my.
The season has started. You have a sleepy town of 5,000, and in the summer you'll have 400,000. So,
wow.
Yes.
Lots of hotels, I guess?
Lots of hotels, and so it's an area that I stay away from.
So we're not going to the beach.
I go to the quiet beaches. I like to go to Assateague, and that's where you have the wild horses, and you can be sitting on the beach, and you'll have these wild horses walk right by you, and they're fun to watch. It's interesting, and usually you have the people who camp. There's a larger campsite there, and so people who camp and so forth usually go to that beach, and it's just a little quieter and nicer than having 80 million people sitting next to you.
That's not exactly relaxing.
No, it isn't. So the further away I am from people, the better I like it. But anyway.
Well, crowds are not necessarily relaxing, but we're going to have to get together one of these days. We really are. We've been partners, and we haven't even seen each other. It's kind of funny.
But you know what? It just really is, though. I mean, I get the people on vacation and so forth, and I am so far. I'm only 5 miles away from it, but I really am removed. It's like two different worlds. I'm in the country. I'm in the farm country, the rural area, and and you go in there, and but people really are. I get that they're on vacation, but you see these interviews where people go up and ask folks what they think of this and that, and I can understand after people watching in Ocean City in the summertime, I understand those answers coming from these people because they just really are. I mean, people are just in another world, yes. They really don't have a clue sometimes, and you watch what they do. I mean, the way they cross the streets, and I mean, they're just oblivious. They're oblivious that there's a car barreling down on them. It's like they just, anyway, it's
in La La Land, huh?
It truly is. It's interesting.
It is interesting.
Anyway.
But I haven't taken too many vacations. We just haven't done that. We've taken a couple of mostly family reunion vacations, but we went to Canada. We went to Toronto and to Niagara Falls. When my youngest boy was a senior, the high school choir went up there and performed. And, it was different. When we were in Toronto, we went to this huge mall. I don't even remember what the name of it was. We went into this huge mall, and people were just rude. I mean, they don't, when you're walking down the hallway or whatever you call the corridor, when you're going down the mall street, whatever you call it, they're not going to move out of your way. You better be moving. Here in the Midwest, you meet somebody, you kind of step aside, you give them a little room. You don't. That's not the way it was. So people are different in different areas, and when they're on vacation, they are oblivious. We always had to tell the kids, pay attention to what's going on around you.
It's amazing,
nobody else is.
Yeah, it truly is amazing. But anyway, so I stay out of that area except on Sundays to visit my aunt. Then I'll go in there. And on Friday.
Get a helicopter to go do that. Just, go over the traffic and land in their backyard.
Good grief.
Well, we would be doing the right thing, I don't think, if we didn't mention and be in prayer and for our fellow Americans in Hawaii.
Oh, I know.
They are, I mean, what a mess that they are in right now, and it doesn't show signs of letting up. It's been less than a week ago, and the Lanani Estates was the picture of serenity. Now, I'm not real familiar with Hawaii, but I've been there once, and I'm one of those that was oblivious to where I was. Anyway, I was kind of walking around. Whoa, what's this? Anyway, the Hawaii's Big Island. It's a subdivision in the island's eastern Puna district, filled with wooden homes nestled in tropical plant filled lots. It's just a beautiful area. Anyway, they've had this eruption of the volcano, and I was looking at some videos and watching that this morning. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's just horrible. I don't know what the toll is yet. I've been trying to figure it out. They haven't said a whole lot on the news about it. Too busy chasing memos and dossiers and all these lawyers and everybody talking on TV. But this is something that's, it says at least 26 homes. Now, this was 3 hours ago. At least 26 homes have been destroyed. But they expect it to keep rising, and it's just, it's the lava is shooting 330 feet high into the air, and it's moving rapidly as it does. I remember reading about volcanoes erupting when I was just in elementary school or junior high, and that was scary to me. I was kind of taken back when I was in California. I was talking to somebody. He said, "Well, we considered moving to Missouri, but then we were thinking about we were reading about all the poisonous snakes you have there." And I go, "What? What are you talking about?" And the dangers that are in this state of Missouri. And I'm thinking, wow, that's I guess every state has something, but Hawaii and some of these areas that have, like even in Washington State, where they've got the volcano that could erupt any time, but the Hawaii is that's how it formed, was the volcano back in the day. So anyway, these friends and family that live there, we need to be in prayer for them, because it is hitting them hard right now. And that's not something, you can do much about, I guess. How do you get out of the way of a volcano? Anyway, so.
Well, they do have a lot of earthquakes, and what's fascinating is these fissures are opening up, like just little cracks in the earth. I mean, it's
right.
It's just not spewing out of the.
Spitting it up, yeah.
But what's interesting, and I'm just saying, I have clients in Hawaii, and they've been having a lot of problems because you have a lot of money that is moving in, and they're buying up all the open lands and building these, humongous resorts,
condos and stuff,
and everything like that, and the people are, and they're taking up a lot of the resources of the islands and so forth, and so maybe this is the way of Hawaii's inner gods are reacting to get out of here. I don't know, but
no,
it is a horrible thing. And,
it is a horrible thing, and the earthquakes, could definitely cause some tsunamis, and I would assume it can. I'm not an expert by any way. And of course we have it's got the sulfur dioxide gas that's a danger, I mean, this is just one thing after the other, and that goes along with this volcanic activity and active eruption. So anyway, we just want to remember our fellow Americans there in Hawaii, and keep them in our prayers, and pray for their safety and recuperation after this calms down. We hope it calms down very, very soon. Doesn't look like it, but we hope it does.
Well, you're talking about our Americans, and here's something kind of interesting, too. It's coming out of South Florida, and the Zika. Everybody remembers the Zika scare of 2016. Yes. Well, they're saying that can actually lead to a yellow fever panic this year. If the South Florida residents let down their guard, if they don't protect themselves from these mosquitoes that are carrying this disease. There hasn't been a yellow fever outbreak in the United States for more than 100 years, but state health officials are concerned that a large outbreak in Brazil and others in the South and Central America would lead to this having travelers that have been infected bringing it to South Florida. And of course, Florida is, certainly the right climate, and they're right for mosquitoes in that area for it to spread. And of course, this disease, the yellow fever, is deadlier than the Zika virus. And so it's Brazil reported 1,131 cases and 338 deaths that have been attributed to yellow fever from July to March. So,
years ago they stopped using the DDT, and then we have the Lyme's disease. We have the kids at school; they're constantly getting head lice, and we have the mosquitoes that are carrying the diseases and the threats here. And DDT was not harmful if it was used with some common sense, and it did save lives. And Derry Brownfield, for those who don't know who I am, I worked for him for 15 years. He was a talk show host, but he was the founder of the Brownfield Network here in the state of Missouri, which was also nationwide. It was, it covered several states. And he wrote an article about that, and I'll never forget that because there were some things in there that I didn't know about DDT. Now, they don't want you to use it where it's rolling into the lakes and stuff, but you have to use quite a bit of it. It doesn't harm humans, but it will harm fish and that kind of thing. You have to use some sense. But they quit using that, and all of a sudden we've got these kids with the head lice, and we've got the mosquito diseases, we've got the Lyme's disease, we've got everything else going on. And this mosquito outbreak, and we need to stop and think about some of the things we do sometimes. But the government got involved one more time.
And what's interesting about this mosquito that carries this yellow fever, because I do think about that too. If I'm walking my dog, I make sure I do it before it gets dark because I know the mosquitoes come out. And here, this one is basically saying that it'll do it during the day. It bites during the daytime. It's just not a dusk and dawn type of
varmint.
Yeah,
insect.
So I'll have to be a little more thoughtful of that even up here because we have so much water. We don't have a lot of standing water and so forth, but and they say it can breed. There was I was talking to a woman who had a friend that was infected by Zika, and they tracked down as best they could to where she might have contracted the Zika, and they tracked it to actually it was just a bucket of water. So, we think of, big, areas that have standing water, the swamps in Florida and so forth. And, you can have you get a cup of water sitting outside and, it could, attract.
It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. In the summer, you have people that are watering their plants. They got the little bowl underneath them, a little plate underneath them that catches that water, and they breed in that, and they breed in everything. It doesn't take a whole lot for those mosquitoes. They're pretty prolific. And
of course, the main thing here that it gets a little scary is, of course, they recommend the vaccine for all those people who are traveling. So if you're going to South Florida, they want you to get a vaccine. But actually, they're saying if people are traveling to areas known to have yellow fever, and they do admit that the vaccine could be worse problems for young children and adults. But
we had visited Texas years ago. Was a family vacation. Well, it was family reunions. What it was. My husband's family kind of started out in Texas when they came over here from Switzerland. His grandfather and great-grandfather. I hear the music. You're going to have to wait. But I'm going to tell you a mosquito story in Texas when we visited there way back in the day. You're listening to Power Talks with Melanie and Beth Ann. We do have some news to cover, and we will get with that.
We do?
We have news. We do have some news. I don't know how breaking it is, but we do have some news to discuss. You're listening to Power Talks with Melanie and Beth Ann in the morning. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218, and we'll be back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Full of power. And you're listening to Power Talks with Melody. We're listening to Melody and Beth Ann in the morning with Power Talks. I was telling a little story about Texas, and then we're going to go to the callers. I was telling a little story about Texas. We had 5 little kiddos, and we were in Texas. It was a family reunion, and we had a brown station wagon, and got into the station wagon the next morning. We'd left, it was really hot and humid. We'd left the windows rolled down in that car, and got in it on Sunday morning to go to church. I had a little dress on with some white hose, and my husband yelled, "Get out, get out, get out." And I go, "What's up?" All around my legs were mosquitoes. Mosquitoes. And, I didn't get a single bite. I didn't get a single bite during that week that we were in Texas with all those mosquitoes all over the place. And I cannot find – the only thing I can figure out is I was using a body lotion on me that they didn't like. Now, you cannot find this lotion anymore. It must have been too good. But it was baby oil mousse. And I just absolutely loved it.
No wonder they ran.
But it was very, it just disappeared when you put it on your skin. It didn't leave oily. It was a mousse. It was really light. And you can't find it anymore. They quit making it. But I didn't get any mosquito bites, and everybody else did. So, but I smelled like a little baby. We're going to go to Joe in Arkansas. Joe, how are you today?
Oh, getting by so far still. And how are you?
Good morning.
Good.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, good morning. I wanted to make a couple of comments on the things you've been talking about this morning, and then I had a question. And that's this. I remember reading in the organic farming publications about how the mosquitoes and other bugs would very quickly develop resistance to DDT. Because they breed so fast, there'll be a few in every generation that are resistant to whatever insecticide they're using. So at first, the insecticide will kill off like 99.9% of them, but the few that survive will breed, will soon start breeding generations of resistant bugs. And so that the chemical companies, so that after a few generations of using DDT on the mosquitoes or other bugs, they would develop a resistance to it. And then the chemical companies would have to come up with a stronger chemical to kill that. And then they would develop, after a few generations, they would develop resistance to that. They would have to come up with a stronger chemical again, and so on over and over. And as they developed stronger chemicals to kill the bugs that were resistant to the previous chemicals, of course, these chemicals would get more and more and more toxic to people also. And also, of course, Monsanto has been lying for a long time about how harmful glyphosate Roundup is. They said at first it was perfectly harmless, and now all kinds of information is coming out about how it causes cancer and causes all kinds of problems and so on like that. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they were lying about DDT being harmless also. And
well, I don't know that it's harmless. I mean, because they outlawed it back in 1972. I was looking back to see when that was. That's when they banned it, was in 1972. But they claimed it was killing the fish. They didn't want to get into the and it may have been.
If it's poisonous to bugs, it's probably poisonous to fish too. That's a little bit of common sense, isn't it?
Well, yes, but if you use it like you're supposed to use it, it doesn't necessarily get into the lakes and everything. But anyway, there's other things you can do about these mosquitoes. But it's been since they've banned the DDT that all of a sudden we have all these children with head lice. And knock on wood, I didn't have that. I dodged that bullet with my 5, but all the kids they were going to school with had it. And so we have the head lice, we have the Lyme's disease that is extremely dangerous that's coming from the ticks and the fevers, and we have the Zika virus and the other things that the mosquitoes carry because we're not controlling the insects. I'm just going by what Derry Brownfield had said back in the day because he believed in the DDT, and he said, too, that it wasn't as harmful as they've been claiming, but they took it off and brought other things on, and I'm sure there was somebody getting a little bit of money for that. You know how that goes, too, Joe. So, yeah, but Monsanto has lied to us for years.
Well, I think the reason people are so afraid of these diseases and what I found is that if you live a healthy lifestyle, you just do not get sick anywhere near as much as people generally do. But very few people are willing to live a healthy lifestyle. Mostly people just absolutely refuse to live a healthy lifestyle. They feel they have to indulge in all kinds of goodies, which they enjoy for the moment, but which make them sick in the end. And so because people refuse to live a healthy lifestyle, they get sick about 10 times as much as God intended them to, and that's why there's so much fear of these diseases. I know mosquitoes are a nuisance, but I've gotten mosquito bites all my life and never got sick from it. But not that I like them, but they're not that big of a problem. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that. But as far as the question that I had that I said I called about, Neil has several times talked about getting a allodial title to your land, a land patent, but how do you actually go about doing that? How can a person actually do that? Is there any information that a person can get on how to actually get the allodial title or land patent to their land? Maybe Neil could call and tell us where we can get information about how to do that.
Well, Neil actually sent me some information that I could send to you, Joe, if you send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, and I'll do that for you.
Okay.
All I have is
P.O. Box 73, Missouri, California, Missouri, 65018.
You got it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll send you a few bucks for it, too.
It's handwritten real little. He's very meticulous. He's got it handwritten, and it's real small. And then I looked up some things online, too. But I'm happy to send that.
How many pages is it? I'll send you some money for it, too.
I think his is 2 pages, and I think mine's 3 or 4 pages. something like that. I can't remember now. It's been a long time since I was sending those out. So, but I still have them. So if you just send me a self-addressed, send a legal envelope. It'll fit in there. It'll be fine.
Okay,
and $1 or
great.
$2 wouldn't hurt either. So, okay, thanks.
Yeah,
thanks,
no, I'll send you something for it. Thanks a lot.
All right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I know that they, going back to the DDT, I'd have to dig up that old article that Derry had, but it was pretty telling on how he felt, anyway, about the DDT. And he had some pretty strong opinions on things sometimes. I don't know that he was necessarily always 100% right, but he did have some pretty strong opinions on some things.
Well, my thoughts about that is it really probably interferes with the Monsanto's GMO products. And that was probably, pardon?
I said probably so. That was back in 1972 when they were really kicking it into gear,
Well, so, I mean, it's, Monsanto's been working on that for a long time, so I wouldn't doubt that's probably one of the, money, follow what did they replace and how could they make more money on, it had to be interfering with something. It certainly wasn't for the benefit of the American people and whatnot. So.
Never is.
So I'm sure Monsanto needed them to eliminate the spread.
Yeah, somehow. Anyway, so now we have Lyme's disease. We have Zika. We have, the yellow fever coming back. We have all these things. There was some other. What's the other disease that the birds were carrying? And that was coming from the mosquitoes too. I can't remember what the name of that was. What was the name of that? It almost came to me. I'll think of it in a minute. Well, I have a really interesting article. It's kind of I don't know if I'd really call it a positive note, but this is a study, and they said it's shocking. Well, I don't really think it's shocking because I know that people who love the earth and people who farm, people who ranch, people who that's where they make their living, they take care of things. And most people are not, we may take things for granted, but most people don't want to throw trash on the ground. Most people want to keep things clean. But anyway, this says climate skeptics seem to be more eco-friendly than the climate alarmists. So they took this, they gauged how these people's behaviors were. It says Americans who are skeptic about climate change engage in personal behavior that is more friendly to the environment than climate alarmists who support increased government regulations, and this is just what the study found. Michael Hall is a psychologist from the University of Michigan, and he led a team of researchers in the year-long longitudinal, I don't know how to say that, study of 600 Americans who regularly reported their climate change beliefs, environmental behavior, and other climate change-related measures. The researchers grouped their subjects into 3 categories based on their attitude toward climate change: skeptical, cautiously worried, and highly concerned. The result of the study contradicted the intuitive assumption that people most concerned about climate change would be most likely to engage in eco-friendly behavior, revealing instead the contrary is true. There is an inverse correlation between climate change concern and environmentally beneficial action. In other words, the environmental, it says the lifestyle choices began by Hall on his team included recycling, using public transportation, and buying green products, and using reusable shopping bags. The people who did this the most were those who are skeptic about all this climate change talk. And the ones who did it the least are the ones that are constantly screaming that we have to do something to save the earth. And I'm just making the long and short of what this article really said. And it doesn't really surprise me because I know how people are around here. And they don't necessarily believe in this climate change, but they're going to, well, one thing, there's money in recycling, so that's one reason they might recycle. And another is it's just cleaner. It teaches the kids something good. I had a boy, they started that, way back 1 year as a New Year's resolution, and they have kept it up. He's got 2 children, and they have kept it up. They recycle, although I think they have trouble with the kids like I did. My sons were supposed to smash the cans and take care of that, and they didn't do too good at that. They'd do it for a little while, and then they'd quit. But you have to stay on, children. You have to stay on them. But anyway, it also said that Americans, it gave a little bit about how giving and their generosity. And it said in 2014, the study published by the Chronicle of Philanthropy said that the IRS data to analyze giving patterns across the country compared with levels of giving and how each state voted in 2012 presidential election, that Romney versus Obama, those who voted supposedly conservative, I don't believe Romney's a conservative by any shape, size, or means, but those who voted Republican, which is supposed to be the conservative side, were more giving, were more generous. And those who voted the other way tend to be on the liberal side, were less giving. And we've known that to be true. We've seen that firsthand. But anyway, I thought the study was interesting. Liberals are never responsible. They just want you to be cautious with everything you do. They don't want to be cautious. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting study. And we do have a caller. We have David in Iowa. David, how are you today?
Pretty good, Beth and Melody.
Hello.
On the DDT, I just throw this in at the end here. The reason it was banned is because the Africans were using it to get rid of their malaria, and it was doing a good job. But the elites didn't like that because they didn't want the malaria to go away. Dr. Stan has all the kinds of information on it on his website. I think it's RadioLiberty.com. He was a high proponent of DDT.
Okay. All right, appreciate that. All right.
And Dr. Stan, I'm a big fan. I was a big fan of Dr. Stan. He was I miss him.
Yeah.
He was tremendous in his fight.
I don't think that was his phone hanging up. That's not you, is it? You're still there.
I'm still here. So, yeah, Radio Liberty. I didn't know his website was still being offered, the materials and so forth. But, yes, ladies and gentlemen, go to Radio Liberty, and you'll find some fascinating information.
Is that .com? Is that RadioLiberty.com?
I can pull it up here real quick. Let me see what my computer says, but I'm sure it is. RadioLiberty.com. I'm sure it is. I can't imagine. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, .com. Okay, RadioLiberty.com, and there's all kinds of information, and he does have something on there about DDT. That'd be interesting. We ought to pull that up and talk about that later this week since we've been talking about this. It's just another thing that people are lied to about, and we're made to believe one thing or another, and we believe all these great big government studies. Of course, I just read a study, but we know that wasn't government necessarily. And here I have in my hand an article about CNN, and Don Lemons reveals that CNN will limit, they're going to stop airing the Trump rallies in real time. They don't want you to actually see it as it's happening. They say he just rambles, and they just think it's a waste of time, and their listeners don't want to, or their viewers don't want to see this. But the truth is, when you see it in real time and you see what he really said, they can't lie about what was said. They can't manipulate the words around and withhold information. So I thought that was kind of a telltale sign here. Any other president that would hold a rally or a speech, they would cover it. But no, not with President Donald Trump, because they are so against him. They hate him so much. And they don't want the people to have anything in real time regarding what the president says or doesn't say. And, of course, he had the big rally. That was in Michigan last week, wasn't it? And then then this weekend, I think it was Friday, he actually was at the NRA. That was kind of a surprise. And he was actually at the NRA convention and spoke there. But I thought this was interesting. They say if he's not a racist, he certainly is a racist adjacent. Sorry, can't even talk this morning. And I'm tired of them calling him a racist. They don't have any proof that he's a racist. Not with his hiring habits from his businesses. They have no proof that he's a racist. They took a little snippet of what he said on the campaign trail, and that's all they have to go on. And even that, they took it out of context. So anyway, they're not going to show him in real time. You're not going to get to see the president in real time if he's at a rally on CNN, because they're not going to let him talk live on their show, on their shows, on their network. I thought that was quite telling and interesting.
It is, and the reason they're coming out and saying that is because few of the administration will interview on those stations. So, that's their way of saying, well, it's us making that decision, not them. But in reality, they're just covering up. But yeah, I mean, it's, it has really gotten to the point of it's just,
disgusting. It's disgusting.
It's just
and obvious what everybody's doing.
And I mean, it's, I don't know. It really is. And, he opens the door for some of it. And, but it's just like both sides acting like children, both sides. And there's something far more important, and that's the American people in our country, to be, but this is what we're going to get for the next, several years. So.
Well, unless something breaks, we talk about a collapse in the economy, and I know things are supposedly looking better right now, but unless something breaks, and I don't know, we're seeing so much corruption, Melody, it's just unreal what we're seeing. And how many of, I'm beginning to wonder if there's anybody not involved in the corruption in D.C., it's just that bad. And, it was going all over Twitter this weekend about Rosie O'Donnell and how she cheated and how she was, she should go to jail just like Dinesh D'Souza did, because she's doing the same thing he was accused of. And he spent, I think, was it 2 years in jail? Was it that? Yeah. And he had a 5-year sentence. He spent 2 years of it, I think, in there. And it's the corruption. And she I don't know what his story was totally, but according to these articles that I saw this weekend on her, she knowingly did this because she used different names. She knowingly did it. She did it through other people and gave to a different, you're only allowed to give X amount of dollars. And she gave above and beyond. She ended up giving like $90,000 to campaigns. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. It's just, you're right. It's like, who isn't corrupt? Other than you and I and most of our listeners, not most of our listeners, all our listeners, we're not corrupt.
We're the deplorables. Only the deplorables are not corrupt. We're just clueless. We just don't know what to do. If we had a clue, we'd be corrupt too, I guess.
I guess I'd rather be a deplorable.
I think so. I can at least sleep at night. I don't have any problem. Unfortunately, I think they have no trouble sleeping at night, and that's what's really sad. Well, I have another article.
I had a client called me one time, and it was he went to another dealer before he knew about me, and he called me. He says, "Boy, I sure wished I knew you with my previous purchases." He says, because I was just taken, and he says, "How do these people sleep at night?" And I says, "Well, they sleep in some very comfortable beds." Because with the money that they steal from their clients, and overcharge, I shouldn't say steal, but overcharge, they got some really nice, they sleep in really nice beds. But,
servants.
Yeah.
It is unreal. And like I said, it's getting so bad. And yet the American people don't matter. CNN, it doesn't matter. They don't care. They don't want the American people to see what the president actually says in these rallies. If it's so bad, then let the American people see it, that they don't want that. And Rosie O'Donnell, she's going to ignore the law. She's above the law. She's a rich Hollywood creep. I don't know what else to say about her, corrupt. I call them corrupt, nasty, just another corrupt, nasty woman. But here we have 28 illegals already in the year of 2018. 28 illegal aliens have been arrested for child rape in North Carolina just last month. 28 of them. It says the North Carolina Fire reported that police have arrested 28 illegal aliens, the highest number of arrests in 2 years. And the 28 illegal aliens have been arrested, have accumulated 89 sexual assault charges. Now, 69 of them are against children, 10 years old, little girl, 10 years old, little boy, and that guy, he videotaped it. And the article said, but when they were passing this around, is when is Congress going to care about the children of American citizens? When are they going to care about the children here who seem to have no voice as they are victims of these illegal aliens? It names them here, just goes on and on with it, and I didn't want to get into all that. For one thing, I can't pronounce their names. But it's just getting to be unreal. It says this month's report brings the total number of illegal immigrants arrested to 69 just this year. This is just May. And they have been charged with 251 counts. Some of these children at 10 years old, this wasn't just one rape. This was ongoing for a while. And the pervert was taking videos of it. And we have people like Hillary Clinton and the state of California wanting open borders, and it doesn't matter. Well, they're not rapists. They get on to the president. They're not rapists. Well, what are these? What are these people? They're evil. And we're letting them in here, and we're letting them take our children and abuse our children, kill our citizens. It's just, it's just beyond ridiculous. And I have just pretty much lost all patience with Congress. They could stop all of this mess. They could stop this. They could stop this immigration invasion. They could stop the Mueller mess against the president, because only they can stop it, and they choose not to stop it. So the American people, and I'm going to include myself in this, who have remained ignorant over what really should and can or should not be happening. The president is protected under the Constitution by what's going on against him, and Congress does nothing to stop it. They are the only ones who can stop it, and they do nothing to protect this president. Both the Republicans and the Democrats. Oh, they're putting on a show. They do nothing to protect these children, and they have done nothing to protect our economy, and they continue to wreck it. And we're going into a break. I hear music. I'm sorry, I kind of got on a little bandwagon, but I'm just so angry with Congress. You're listening to Power Talks with Melanie and Beth Ann in the morning, and the number to call is 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And Melody, she's here. We'll be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Sent you. And we have turned to listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. I'm going to finish up on this. Melody and I were talking a little bit on break. Of course they don't care about the children. Look what they're doing to our own children. And there is, Melody, and we never talk about it. And it's not on purpose. I guarantee you, I have tried to get some people in here that are experts on it, and they don't. I'll just have to find somebody else. But human trafficking is huge. It's huge in this country and across the world. But it is huge in this country, and it's something nobody talks about. It's the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about it. But, of course, they don't care about our children because they're willing to do all these abortions and kill these abortions, legalize that, and use the body parts for money. And there's a reason. I'm telling you, there's a reason Congress won't defund Planned Parenthood. How many of them are benefiting? Monetarily benefiting from something, some way, connected directly or indirectly to that industry. And so if it's not one thing or the other, but Congress is the problem. Congress is the biggest threat to American liberty, the American economy, to the jobs, to national security. They are the biggest threat in every situation. Congress. To immigration, to our trade, everything. And I'm losing patience with them. Don't make me come down there.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely correct, and but also you have all these lobbyist groups and so forth, and they've got conflicting. They just conflict with what they say. They say something, they do something else, and those that you think is conservative. And I mean, look what we saw with Rand Paul. I mean, one moment he's gonna, he's not gonna vote for Pompeo, and the next thing you know, he gets a call from the president, and he promised me these things, and what weasels? They stand up and they make these strong announcements. And it's like, yes. Finally, someone is stating something, and then and they'll go do their 24-hour talks and so forth. And what all happens?
Filibuster, make all their noise. Nothing.
They make noise. That's all they do. They don't stand there, or they leave. I mean, what kind of people? What kind of men are these? They can't stand up for all of the principles that they got elected on. And I mean, and
it's not that they can't; it's that they won't.
They won't.
They won't stand up.
And and I mean, we've seen this in the elections, and that was my biggest question. I mean, Trump was out to win an election. I get that, but then you have Cruz. I'm not a fan of Cruz, but I'm going to use him as the example. His wife was taken to the table from an opposing or a competing candidate, and it's just like, and he hardly did anything about it, and his wife was attacked, and I'm thinking, what kind of man would you be? And then after all the elections and so forth, he just cozies on up to I just, it shows character, that the lack of character of these people. And it's just...
Well, I think he couldn't do anything because of the money. It could be, and
lack of character. Yeah, you're right.
Well, but there was truth in it. I mean, she is involved with the bankers. She is involved with Goldman Sachs.
But not when you personally attack them for, if you want to personally attack them for
I remember
business,
now. I know
that's
now.
one thing.
Okay.
I go with that.
I remember the attack now. I wasn't thinking about the visual attack. He kind of started that too. But it was it was nonsense. It wasn't, and it served absolutely no purpose.
That isn't my point of what he did and didn't do as far as the Trump did. My point was, I'm looking to Cruz as saying this man is not even standing up for his wife. That's a window into his character. His character. I'm not saying about what transposed and what had happened, but it shows his character, and they're all the same. We
see these. Trump was elected not because everybody was angry with Democrats. Trump was elected because everybody was angry at the Republicans, and the Republicans haven't got that yet. They might be starting to get it. So they really didn't care whether they had a majority or not, because life's going to go on as they want it to. Something that I saw last night, and it happened this came out of Dan Bongino's mouth, and I thought that is a great way to put it. It's an absolutely perfect statement. He said, many of the Republicans are truly Democrats. None of the Democrats are Republican. And he was saying that because they were talking about this attack against the president and how this is happening and it's unconstitutional. And again, Congress does nothing to stop it. And he was talking about what a bunch of cowards and weasels they were, just like we've kind of been saying. And he said it absolutely correct. Many of the Republicans, those rhinos, we call them rhinos, are Democrats, but there are no Democrats that are Republicans. So who's got the majority? Who's really got the majority? Well, the ones who are getting it done. They're getting their obstruction done. They're going after the president. They're trying to keep him from doing this and doing that, and they're getting it done. And it's just unreal. I'm going to chuckle a little bit. I didn't get to actually see him make this statement or hear the statement other than secondhand, but apparently John McCain has told President Trump he's not welcome at his funeral. And I'm thinking, who do these people think they are? It's comical, and yet it is so scary and sickening because of what they are doing and their arrogance against the American people. Their complete disloyalty to those who elect them, their complete ignoring of the Constitution. Oh, they can sit there and say this and say that, but they're not doing any of it. And but that was just, to me, that was just hysterical that he's going to make his last stand. Your president is not allowed to come to your funeral, where they got seating arrangements and, name tags and everything at this funeral. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't pull that. I saw the headline. I didn't pull it up to read it and so forth. And you think you'd have better things to do on your deathbed than, decide who can and who can't come to your funeral. I get making arrangements and everything, but that's so I don't know who reported on that and so forth, but
it was all over the place, and there was all kinds of people talking about it, and it was like, really, it's absurd. It's an absurd statement, and it's just, I know he has brain cancer, but he's been absurd for a long time before he had the brain cancer. So,
and what's sad is he can still make decisions.
Yes,
with Congress,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Tomorrow
still
we have, still voting, has the ability to vote. Anyway, we have primaries, a lot of primaries going on tomorrow, and everyone is eyeing the West Virginia Senate primary. And I don't know how, this is actually from a Politico article where Don Blankenship, he's basically is sort of surging ahead, so they report, of tomorrow's Senate primary. And I think the president came out today and said anybody but Blankenship, because of his, I guess his criminality and so forth, that he was involved in the 29 workers that were killed in the coal mine. I don't know if he actually took a position for either Jenkins or Morrissey.
I haven't heard
but
either.
he certainly doesn't want to have Blankenship in there. But it's surprising. And, when I watched the debate last week of the three, I mean, he was able to get into that debate. Pastor Butch says there's another constitutionalist that, he's going to vote for that's much better than all three of them. But, of course, they don't get any press. They don't get any support. They don't get any, they just don't get much.
They don't get, and they don't get squat. And even those, when you have before the primaries, even those who are running, if they're not the chosen one in whichever party it is, they get nothing. You can have all these Republicans running, but they get nothing. Only the only one who gets any monetary help is their chosen person. I know that's how it is here in the state of Missouri, and I'm sure that's the way it is everywhere.
Yeah, it is, and
they have to get their own money.
Yeah, they have to get their own money, and that's really what needs to be changed is these campaign finance laws.
You quit giving.
They
to
really
the
do. It's got to be equal. And there's a lot they could do in that area, but they're not going to do anything there. Just like they're not going to vote themselves term limits. So.
That's corrupt too. Yeah, it's all about their money and their careers. It's not about us. I hear free being played, so that means we are out of time, and you are free to move about the country. I don't know. You're free to turn the dial and listen to CSC Talk Radio. Melody, you have a great rest of the day.
You
it was great to be with you here this morning.
Same here. I enjoyed it.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.